¿Qué hubo, raza? This is Ernesto Ayala, and this is Aslan Weekly. Breaking news is the Utah Slan. Our camarada Chista Garcilaso reports, and as many of us know already, on Wednesday afternoon, white supremacist, nationalist settler, and talking head Mr. Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck while conducting his infamous "Prove Me Wrong" question and answer sessions at Utah Valley University. In a moment of true irony, he was asked, "Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America in the last 10 years?" Kirk then evaded the question by countering with, "Counting or not counting gang violence." Immediately thereafter, a single shot struck him in the neck, and the mostly white nationalist settler attendants screamed and cowered all around. Video appears to show the attack came from a rooftop roughly 200 yards away. Charlie Kirk was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, dying only hours later. The shooter remains at large and investigations are ongoing. We at Aslan Weekly salute all the brave women, children, and men that have endured the violent vitriol, anti-migrant words that this racist white nationalist settler Charlie Kirk spewed at them for years. It was a complete spit on the raza's face. Goodbye. Moving on. News from our camarada Veronica Aliel. Desde San Anto, Tejaslan. En San Anto, la lucha sigue. Community members are outraged by the continuous abuse of power by Edgewood Independent School District board members. Just days after the arrest of Maribel Gardea, who was unjustly arrested at a school board meeting, all charges were dropped due to insufficient evidence. On Monday, September 8th, community members packed another school board meeting where they voiced their disgust and opposition to the board's intention to adopt sanctions against trustee member Michael Valdez for questioning the arrest of Maribel Gardea, the latest in the saga of despicable actions. Next week, on September 16th, at 4 p.m., there will be a rally and march to show solidarity and continue building community. Join us at San Antos Van de Waal Park on Herbert Lane. Our camarada Veronica also reports of Uvalde, Texas. 3 years after the tragedy at Robb Elementary, the previously held back video recording of the tragedy has been released to the public. The footage clears educator Amy Franco of false claims that she had left the door to the school open. Yet the video now shows the truth. Not only was the door closed, but she made sure to shut it and warned other teachers while she was on the phone with 911. Amy Franco saved lives and did more than those who were sworn, supposedly, to serve and protect. The fight for the release of all the documents and videos to be released continues. Adelante. Even more news desde Houston, Tejaslan. En la semana pasada, Houston Public Media reported as children enter school after summer break, health centers, including urgent cares and emergency rooms, reported an alarming boom in COVID-19 infections. In the ending week of August, COVID infections spiked up to 30% in emergency rooms. Many are fast to blame the gathering of young children in schools. Pero el Centro de Disease Control, CDC, explains a new strain of COVID-19 is circulating in the U.S. called XFG, aka Stratus, and is responsible for 78% of the nation's reported COVID cases. During late August, health experts stressed to get the latest vaccinations and boosters. And from both of our camaradas, Andrea Martinez y Enrique Cardiel desde Nuevo Mexicaslan, Nuevo Mexico, La Migra and ICE presence and kidnappings throughout the state are growing and also going unreported. As community members continue to share similar stories of fellow raza being disappeared, most recently, Andrea reports 2 men were kidnapped on Sunday from her local farmers' country market. When she tried to get more information, none was provided. And Enrique similarly reports, last week an undocumented Mexicano and an undocumented Venezolano were also kidnapped, without much more information available as to their whereabouts. Community organizations like Somos Un Pueblo Unido have also noticed this upkick since March of 2025 and have been demanding transparency and accountability from La Migra. Pero the highest profile case of detainment in the state of Nuevo Mexicaslan is that of a DACA recipient being held by ICE. As just last week, the ACLU, the Nuevo Mexico, took legal action on his behalf, suing the Department of Homeland Security for his being held unconstitutionally without cause. The victim's name, Paulo Cesar Gamez Lira, a 28-year-old father of 4 with long-standing legal deportation protections. He was kidnapped last August by masked ICE cowards and continues to be held indefinitely at Nuevo Mexico's Otero County Processing Center. Suerte to his legal case. Our camarada Andrea also reports of New Mexicaslan, Roswell, once home to one of the largest airstrips in the world, used to have regular air shows between the 40s and the 60s when the base closed. In the 80s, there were smaller air shows, but they didn't last. But now in 2025, the national championship air races event has permanently moved from Nevada to Roswell, Nuevo Mexico. The event starts September 10th and goes on until the 14th. Roswell expects about 70,000 people to come into the community, which is home to less than 50,000 people. The local community has mixed feelings. Some are happy that there is an event to enjoy, and others are concerned with this serious problema. Exactly how will Roswell, Nuevo Mexico accommodate such a large influx of spectators, as well as the inevitable traffic and noise pollution that follows? And from our camarada Robert Ramirez desde Denver, Colorazlan. Puras tristezas for stargazers and space enthusiasts in Colorado Aztlán, as last week El Trompas announced that the U.S. Space Command headquarters, which was originally planned to be built in Colorazlan, Colorado, will now be moved to the American South in Alabama. Also, El Trompas and the Republican Party is attempting to punish Colorado, a Democrat stronghold, for using mail-in ballots. They are determined to limit voting rights and voting accessibility in order to silence millions of voters as they continue to support progressive policy. It is important to note the Republican Party has only won the popular vote twice since 1988, another reason they are clenching onto power so fiercely under the Trompas regime. Otras noticias desde Utahzlan, Utah. According to recently published research from Utah State University's Utah Women and Leadership Project, Utah has the highest gender wage gap in the U.S. Research finds that women earn 27% less than men in the state of Utah, higher than any other state in the USA. The research strikingly offers this gacho fact. For every dollar paid to men, Utah mujeres earn only 61 cents, lower than the national average of 75 cents. Even though women in Utah participate in the workforce at a higher rate, 63.7%, and women-owned businesses in Salt Lake City grew 26% between 2022 and 2023. Experts state this might have to do with quote-unquote traditional cultural expectations, as well as women's limited access to childcare. And now, disturbing news as the Nevada. Last month, during the closing of the Burning Man Festival, a man was found dead in a pool of his own blood. Since then, the victim has been identified as a Russian national by the name of Vadim Kruglov, age 37. The suspect remains at large. Officials are treating the case as a homicide and urge anyone with further information to contact the local Black Rock City Sheriff's Office with any information that might help solve this gruesome case. And now from our camarada Chista Garcilaso desde Arizona, Arizona. In response to the ongoing unconstitutional kidnappings of undocumented raza and migrants and immigrants by La Migra, obviously, the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, C-A-I-R, de Arizona, will continue hosting its virtual Know Your Rights learning sessions. In a display of solidarity, their online pláticas will focus on the growing threat migrants and immigrants experience of ICE encounters, covering scenarios such as what to do if ICE thugs approach you at work, at home, or during travel. For more information or to register, visit cair-az.org, porfas, care.az.org. And from our camarada Hashid Quintos Navarro, desde Centro Califas. This past weekend, the 60th anniversary of the Delano Grape Strike was pridefully commemorated at Robert F. Kennedy High School in Delano, Califas, at an event organized by the Filipino American National Historic Society, FANHS. The day began with community members, students, families, local youth, and activists participating in guided tours of pivotal historical sites such as the 40 Acres Complex and Agbayani Village, followed by una plática titled Life in Delano, before the strike, during the strike, and after the strike. Y también film screenings with Q&A sessions of speakers offering insightful reflections on the Filipino Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee from Christian Pais and Johnny Iliang, son of the late and Honorable Larry Iliang, a key figure that led La Huelga. Also contributing to this honorary event was El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida's very own Carlos Pelayo, tabling with information and vendors, y también el Al Rojas Foundation, tabled by Desiree Rojas, daughter of the late Al Rojas, also a UFW co-founder of the Independent Union Oxnard Califas. The Bold Step commemoration concluded with a panel performance of Larry the Musical, with commentary by Stockton native Gail Romasanta, the lead director del Teatro de la Tierra. And further north, news from our camarada Scott Duncan desde Oakland, Califas. El Trompas administration is unconstitutionally bringing back and enforcing a long-forgotten 1997 law allowing for undocumented migrants and immigrants to be penalized with massive civil fines. So far, the law known as the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act has affected 2 undocumented people in Northern Califas. They now face over $300,000 for failing to leave after removal orders, and their fines grow nearly $1,000 a day. According to NBC, Bay Area professor Bill Hing of USF calls the fines a fear tactic to push migrants and immigrants into self-deportation. In response, the city once again reaffirmed its sanctuary status, set aside $1 million for immigrant legal aid, and banned Migra-ICE thugs from city property unless they have warrants. The main community groups like Reimagine Richmond are holding Know Your Rights sessions to fight fear and misinformation in migrant and immigrant communities. And now we bring you Aztlán y Más, our latest segment offering news not only from Aztlán, but news from all over. Porque as el dicho says, we bring Aztlán with us everywhere we go.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
This is Aztlán y Más. I am Ernesto Morales. Charlie Kirk once bragged, "I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term. It does a lot of damage." On gun control, he declared, "I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights." He mocked victimhood, sneered at George Floyd as a scumbag, and preached that Western civilization is the best that humanity has produced. He told his audience the so-called Great Replacement was real, a rallying cry for white nationalism dressed up as political analysis. And now, with news of his assassination, the nation reels. Politicians call for calm. News anchors drip with sympathy. Institutions mobilize to honor him. But where was this urgency, this grief, when migrants drowned at the border, when indigenous women vanished without a trace, when Palestinians were bombed into rubble with U.S. weapons? That violence, state violence, settler violence, barely registers as a headline. To mourn Charlie Kirk as if his death is exceptional is to erase the daily political violence borne by brown and colonized people. The truth is, for us, violence is not a rupture. It is the structure. It's deportation, it's cages, it's drone strikes, it's ICE raids in our neighborhood. Kirk himself believed some lives were expendable, that empathy was weakness, that whiteness was civilization. If America insists on grieving him, then let it also face the thousands of lives erased under the banner of his ideas. Because until this country learns to mourn the brown, the poor, the indigenous, as much as it mourns one of its own champions, then all this talk of justice and civility is just cover for white settler supremacy. Let's talk about Kilmar Abrigo Garcia. He came to this country in 2011, just a 16-year-old kid running from the gangs that were killing young people in El Salvador. He built a life here, in Maryland, a wife, U.S.-born children. He had legal protection from deportation because everyone knew if he went back, he was a dead man. And still, the United States government grabbed him up this year, put him on a plane, and dropped him into El Salvador's CICOT mega prison, a place designed for mass punishment, for spectacle, where thousands of men are stacked like cattle in cages. They called it an administrative error, an error that ripped a father from his family, an error that ignored the court order protecting him, an error that showed us what they think of us. The Supreme Court had to step in and order the government to bring him back. He returned in June, but even now federal agents whisper about deporting him again, to Uganda, to anywhere but here. They paint him with the brush of MS-13, waving police reports, informant testimony, and even his clothing as proof. No conviction, no real evidence, just the same tired playbook. Criminalize the brown man, justify the cage. Understand, this isn't about Kilmar. This is about all of us. This is the same way they have always treated Chicanos and Latinos in this country, label us dangerous, break up our families, deport us in the dead of the night. People are taken off the streets of Los Angeles, Houston, Detroit, Phoenix, the same way Kilmar was taken. Disappeared into detention centers, jails, deportation flights, and the system shrugs, calls it law and order. But the truth is this: it is not law, it is violence. It is not order, it is control. And it is happening while politicians mouth words about democracy and human rights, while this country collaborates in genocide abroad and enforces it here at home against us. Kilmar's story is our story. It shows how fragile any protection is for our community when the state decides to target us. It shows how little value they place on our lives, our families, our futures, and it shows why we must resist. We cannot accept these disappearances as normal. We cannot allow our people to be criminalized and silent. The Supreme Court just gave ICE the green light to keep raiding our barrios in Los Angeles. They call it Vasquez Perdomo v. Nome. What does that mean? It means the highest court of the settler state has declared open season on our people. They say ICE can profile by race, language, where you work, even the block you stand on, and they call that law. And we say good, because it rips off the mask, because now we see the empire raw, stripped down, no illusions about liberty or justice. They have declared to the world that their rule of law is nothing more than colonial policing of indigenous people. They want to terrorize our families, sweep our neighborhoods, and rip people from their homes. But this is not weakness. This is clarity. The Partido Nacional says when the empire heightens contradictions, when it bares its teeth, it gives us the chance to sharpen our knives of consciousness. Every raid is a reminder that this government is not ours. Every busload they take is a testimony to the colonial project. And every barrio they invade is another Aztlán rising, another Capuli waking to the fight. So yes, let ICE come with their raids. Let the Supreme Court sanctify racial profiling. Let the empire speak its truth, because in doing so, it makes our truth undeniable. We are indigenous, we are occupied, and we will not be erased. If you are interested in more political commentary, join me and others on the Reality Dysfunction podcast. This is Ernesto Mireles reporting for Aztlán y Más, because we take Aztlán with us everywhere we go.
Now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
And now, eventos en Aztlán, en Oaklandia, Oakland Califas. El Flor y Canto Festival de la Poesía Rebelde, the Rebel Flower and Song Poetry Festival, will take place this Saturday, September 13th, starting at 1:30 p.m. at the Eastside Cultural Center, 2277 International Boulevard, Oakland. 2277 International Boulevard in Oakland, September the 13th, starting at 1:30 p.m. Flor y Canto is an inter-raza, multilingual, multiracial, multinational space to envision a new relationship between communities of color, our visions, our lands, and our poetry. Poets include Elizabeth Jimenez Montelongo, Lily of the Valley, Monica Mori, y muchas más. Music will come from Monica Maria Fimbres. This event will also provide art by Daniel Camacho y Hassam Hamad. For more information, visit eastsideartsalliance.org. That's eastsideartsalliance.org. For my camarada Hashid Quintos Navarro desde Centro Califas en Fresno, el Chicano Youth Center Fresno y los Trabajadores de la Raza bring Fandango, empezando las fiestas patrias. Come and join an evening filled with raffles and entertainment on Sunday, September the 13th, starting at 6:30 p.m. This event will take place at the following address: 1515 East Divisadero Street, Fresno, Califas 93721. 1515 East Divisadero Street, Fresno, Califas 93721. Y también un evento en el Valle de San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. Join Etna Street Solidarity and the local community this Saturday, September 13th, for San Fernando Valley's really free market from 3 to 7 p.m. at 6262 Van Nuys Boulevard. This event is free and will provide free food, clothing, and more. Todo gratis. Come as you are. Give what you can. Take what you need. Porque only the people will save the people. Solo el pueblo salva al pueblo. This free market is a practice in meeting our needs collectively, building an economy and solidarity that supports our communities for the long haul. For more information, visit streetviewsla.com. And from our camarada Chista Garcilaso desde Arizona, Aztlán, Arizona. Este 13 de septiembre, el Grito Phoenix will take place this Saturday at 4 p.m. Location downtown Phoenix, 3rd Avenue and Adams Street. This Mexican Independence Day celebration will feature performances by Tropicalísimo Apache and Norteño sensation Dueto Las Voces del Rancho. The celebration will also feature Phoenix favorites DJ La Pachanga, Mariachi Robor, and Banda La Parrandera. Food and arts and crafts vendors will also be on site. This is a free event. For more info, visit elgritophoenix.com. Also an event announcement from Curly Tlapoyawa. September 13th, the Texas Music Museum will host a musical tribute to musical icon Flaco Jimenez. Join us in honoring Flaco's legacy with Juan and Armando Tejeda as they play tribute to the late, great Flaco. A legendary accordionist, El Huracán, 5-time Grammy Award winner and 2005 Lifetime Achievement Grammy recipient. The event will take place at the Texas Music Museum, 1009 East 11th Street, Austin, Texas, starting at 7 p.m. This event is also free to the public. Y desde Fort Worth, Tejaslan, Cultura Markets announces Celebremos Juntos to honor Mexican Independence Day and kick off Raza Heritage Month. Come by for a full day of local vendors, music, coffee, food, and live entertainment, all in the heart of Fort Worth. This market is perfect for those who love culture, community, and supporting small businesses. Este evento will take place at 300 West Central Avenue, Fort Worth, Texas, on Sunday, September 14th, starting at 10 a.m. For more information, visit Instagram.com/Cultura Markets. And now we introduced our latest segment, Aslan Mundial. Over the next few weeks, we'll follow our camarada Scott Duncan as he travels overseas for Aslan Mundial. Porque as el dicho says, we bring Aslan with us everywhere we go.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the widest name. This is a special report for Aztlán Weekly on Raza in the UK. Join me this next month as I head into the wilds of this unknown island, the heart of whiteness, looking for Mexican food, cultura, and Mexicans themselves. I'll be finding Raza and asking them, what's life like? What the hell are you doing here? And the real question, LA tacos, San Antonio tacos, or London tacos?
And now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
And now shoutouts. Our camarada Veronica Iliel would like to give a special shout out to all Raza who are in any way contributing to building locally in their communities, and maybe an invite to join the Partido to build political power. Yes, a definite invite to join the Partido and build political power de la Raza. If interested, visit razaunidaparty.org. And finally, Aslan Weekly would like to hear from you, Raza. If you reside somewhere in Aslan and would like to share newsworthy events with us, or if you would like to make a special shout out to family, friends, y queridos, cáiganle, shoot us an email at news@aslanweekly.com. news@aslanweekly.com. Or you can find us on social media, search #AslanWeekly. Gracias, que viva la raza y que viva Aslan Libre. Es todo.
Minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.